You ever walk into a room full of folks who look at you like you're the punchline to a joke they haven't even told yet? Picture this dusty armory in the middle of some godforsaken corner of Helmand province. Afghanistan, concrete walls sweating in the heat, racks of rifles gleaming under flickering bulbs, that sharp tang of gun oil mixing with the faint whiff of stale sweat from too many long nights. And there she was, Elena Vasquez, this 28-year-old Spitfire from a dusty ranch outside Monterrey, Mexico, barely 5'4" in her scuffed boots, dark hair tied back, so tight it pulled her eyebrows into a perpetual squint of focus. She wasn't yelling or strutting. Nah, she was just methodically breaking down a Barrett .50 like it was her morning coffee ritual, hands steady as a surgeon's, ignoring the pack of grunts circling her like hyenas at a waterhole. It started with Jake Harlan, this 22-year-old hotshot private fresh out of basic, all buzzcut and bravado, the kind of kid who'd grown up idolizing Rambo, but folded like a cheap lawn chair under real pressure, and deep down, he knew it, so he picked fights with anyone who made him feel small. "Hey, Vasquez," he drawled, leaning against a workbench with that smirk that said he owned the place. "You planning to use that beast as a doorstop? Thing weighs more than your whole damn family tree." Laughter erupted, rough and jagged, from the cluster of guys. Rico Valdez, the sergeant with a beer gut and a chip on his shoulder the size of Texas, who'd lost his spot on the sniper team to some affirmative action quota. He blamed on brass favoring diversity hires, like her. Tony Ruiz, the corporal nursing a grudge from boot camp where a female drill instructor had chewed him out in front of his platoon, turning his ego into roadkill. They piled on, voices overlapping like a bad bar fight. "Bet she couldn't hit the broadside of a Humvee from 10 paces, Rico snorted, slapping Jake's back a little too hard, his eyes flicking to Elena, not with hate exactly, but that sour mix of envy and fear, the kind that festers when a man's world starts cracking under feet that aren't his. Elena didn't flinch, didn't even look up at first. She just slid the bolt carrier out with a soft click that sliced through their noise like a whisper in church, her mind drifting back to those endless afternoons on her pa's ranch, him a grizzled vaquero who'd lost an eye to a cartel bullet but taught her to shoot bottles off fence posts before she could ride a bike, murmuring, "Mija, the world's gonna laugh. First you make sure it chokes on the punchline later." She wiped the chamber with a rag, feeling the weight of it all not in the rifle, but in her chest. That quiet burn of being the outsider in a club that didn't want her card. Finally, she paused, dark eyes lifting slow to meet Jake's, and said, soft as mesquite smoke, "You ever hump this thing 3 clicks through a wadi with RPGs whistling overhead?" The room hitched. Jake's grin froze mid-bloom. Rico's laugh died in his throat like he'd swallowed glass. And for a beat, you could have heard a scorpion skitter across the floor. She didn't wait for the stammer, just reassembled the piece with that dancer's grace, zipped her kit, and ghosted out, leaving them staring at the empty bench like it had betrayed them. But man, that was just the spark, the real fire. It simmered through the days, bubbling up in the chow hall where Tony Ruiz held court at a scarred table, his tattooed knuckles wrapped around a tray of MRE slop, spinning yarns about real soldiers to mask the knot in his gut from that one op, where his squad got chewed up because, in his twisted head, some desk jockey back home had pushed 4 women on the line and diluted the whole damn force. "Vasquez, darlin'," he called across the steam, fork jabbing like a bayonet. "You lost? Kitchen's got lighter loads. Maybe you can polish the silverware for us big boys." Chuckles rippled, but Elena, picking at her beans in the corner, felt that old scar tug, the one from enlisting at 19, her ma weeping on the porch, begging her not to chase ghosts in a uniform that'd chew her up and spit out bones. She set her spoon down deliberate, like cocking a hammer, and locked eyes with him. "Ever watched your point man bleed out, 'cause you froze on the trigger?" Tony's fork clattered, his face flushing that ugly red of a man caught bluffing at poker, the table going tomb silent as the words hung there, heavy as spent brass. She took another bite, slow and savoring, while inside, her heart thrummed with that fierce, lonely pride, not anger, nah, but a deep, aching resolve to carve her space, one unanswered question at a time. Captain Marcus Hale caught it all from the shadows, this weathered SEAL, vet pushing 40, face etched with lines from Fallujah foxholes and too many letters home that never got sent, The kind of leader who smelled bullshit a mile off, but trusted actions over alibis. He'd clocked Elena's file early, those blacked-out lines hiding a 2,800-meter ghost shot in the Hindu Kush that had saved a platoon from a Taliban warlord's ambush, verified by spooks who didn't exist on paper. But he held back, watching her navigate the minefield of egos with that unshakable calm, wondering if she carried the same ghosts he did the what-ifs that woke you at 3 a.m., staring at canvas ceilings. In briefings, it escalated, LT. Harlan's brother-in-arms, this wiry prick named Dex Harlan, yeah. Family ties making the grudge personal. Like Elena stealing his kin's thunder who'd interrupt her topo map scans with a pin-tap symphony of dismissal. Vasquez, save the theatrics, we all know you're here for the photo op, not the fight. The room tittered, but she traced a ridgeline steady, then glanced up cool as desert dawn. You ever vectored Artie blind while eating AK fire? Dex's pen snapped, ink bleeding like his confidence, and Marcus felt that twist in his gut, admiration laced with sorrow for the kid she'd once been, trading silk blouses for fatigues to outrun a father's shadow of machismo and a town's whispers of not quite American enough. Then boom, the call came at dark 30, radio screeching like a gut-shot coyote. A Marine convoy boxed in a dry riverbed off Lashkar Gah, Taliban pouring lead from a goat path perch. Rotors chewing sand, but too hot to extract. Command tent was pandemonium, maps unfurled like surrender flags, voices clashing over static and Major Lal Harlan, Dex and Jake's uncle, this paunchy lifer with a mustache like a broom bristle and a career built on burying bodies under bureaucracy, barked for overwatch that wasn't there. Someone muttered her name, half joke, half dare, and Lyle wheeled. Vasquez? That pint-sized prop? She'd get vaped before she chambered around. Motive clear as day, family loyalty twisting into venom. Harlan clan viewing her as the interloper who'd softened their unit, cost and promotions in the name of progress. Elena stepped from the flap, .50 slung like a lover's arm over her shoulder, knuckles pale but voice slicing clean. Overlook Alpha, 1.8 clicks north, I can dust their nest from there. Lyle's laugh barked hollow, desperation cracking the edges. You nuts? That's suicide for a show pony, but Marcus leaned in, gravel voice steady. Give her the green, sir, or we lose that convoy to pride. She didn't plead, snatched the grid overlay, memorized contours in a heartbeat, and melted into the pre-dawn haze, boots whispering over scree while Jake's parting shot echoed faint. Don't trip on your skirt out there. Sweetheart. Up on that knife-edge perch, wind howling like a jilted lover, grit scouring her scope, Elena hunkered, breath sinking to the rifle's pulse, mind a whirlwind of calcs, Coriolis drift, mirage shimmer, the ghost of her pa's voice coaching from the grave. Below, the valley thrashed tracers stitching the air, screams tinny over the net, Lyle's doubt crackling. Vasquez, aboard if you're green, no heroics on my watch. She shielded her eyes from a sand devil, murmured low into the mic. Ever bet your squad's lives on a prayer? Silence swallowed his retort, and she exhaled, squeeze thunderclap recoil, kissing her like an old bruise, for counts later. Tangos dropping one Kia. Marcus, glassing from a sister hill, whispered holy hell, as she cycled, adjusted for the gust, another bloom of muzzle flash, another shadow crumpling at 2,500 meters. The net lit up frantic. Bridge runners incoming, 2,800 out, impossible. Her lips moved, silent mantra drop, spin, hold finger feather light, world narrowing to crosshairs and heartbeat. Crack the round arced biblical, slamming home. Chaos flipped to rout. Convoy peeling free amid whoops that tasted like vindication. Back at base, the air hung thick as fallout, grins wiped from Harlan faces, Rico staring at his boots like they'd betrayed him, Tony's tattoo seeming to mock his silence. Lal stormed the tent, bluster fraying, fluke wind gift-wrapped it, but his eyes darted, career ghosts rising. Jake cornered her later, voice small as a confession. Who the hell are you? Elena peeled off her gloves slow, that ranch girl steel gleaming. Just the one who didn't miss. Marcus pulled her file under lamplight, that night redacts screaming secrets. Black ops in the stand, a warlord's dome peeled at ranges that rewrote ballistics, and found her later under stars, polishing her optic like a talisman. "Why swallow the shit?" he asked soft. She shrugged, gaze distant on the void. "Noise don't hit targets, focus does. And some debts. You pay quiet, so the living keep breathing." He nodded, feeling the shift in his soul, that rare click when you witness grace forged in fire. The ripples hit hard but hushed Jake's ship to a rear echelon hellhole, his cockiness curdling into whispers of the fool who baited the ghost. Dex's forum rants unearthed, sponsorships evaporating like morning dew, family name a punchline at O-Club bars. Lyle's evals tanked, passed over for a command he'd chased 2 decades, Harlan pride fracturing under the weight of one woman's scope. Elena? She ghosted out a fortnight later, orders to some shadow unit in the Hindu Kush, leaving a workbench etched with faint scratches like runes, soldiers fingering it reverent now, swapping tales in the dark. The shot, the silence, the woman who'd turned laughter to ash without a raised voice. Marcus kept her patch of faded coyote claw from her kit on his dash, telling rookies years on, voice dropping conspiratorial. She didn't need medals. The Valley remembers. But here's the gut punch that keeps me up some nights. Replaying it like a scratched reel was it justice? Or just the system's slow grind chewing its own? Those Harlans, tangled in their blood oath bullshit, got what they sowed, sure, but Elena? She carried scars no citation heals, the quiet toll of proving you're human in a machine that measures by kills, not heartbeats. Makes you wonder in our world, does the underdog's win rewrite the rules, or just paint a bigger target on their back? Hell, I've seen it play out in neighborhoods, boardrooms, even family dinners, that raw ache of being dismissed till you force the gaze. What about you? Ever stared down a room full of doubters and flipped the script? Drop it in the comments below. Was Elena's quiet thunder fair play, or does the fight ever really end? Hit like if this hit home, subscribe for more raw slices of life that stick, and share your own war stories. Let's unpack the mess together, 'cause damn, we could all use the company.